A trade war between the US and South Africa under Donald Trump isn't just a possibility. It could be a major turning point in South Africa's global standing. For years, South Africa has balanced between the West and countries in the East. But if Trump decides to pull the plug, will South Africa rise to the challenge or fall into economic turmoil? In an ironic and unintended way, Donald Trump has possibly given South Africans an opportunity to relook its strategic objectives and engage in a shrewd way about what's best for their economy. How, you ask? Well, let's unpack this.
They're a BRICS nation, Spain. You know what a BRICS nation is?
And we will not be bullied.
Our vision for a developed India is to make India great again, or MEGA.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio and others are expected to meet with top Russian officials.
Donald Trump is now officially the new U.S. President of the United States, and investors are positioning for a potential trade war between the U.S. and China.
In 2024, South Africa exported $14.82 billion worth of goods to the U.S., including critical minerals, auto parts, and industrial metals. The U.S. is a key buyer, and if Trump slaps on tariffs or cuts trade deals, South Africa's economy won't just take a hit, it could face a serious crisis. Some say, so what? We can just trade with China or India. But here's the brutal truth, it's not that simple. Many believe South Africa can just pivot to China or India, but global markets don't wait for new suppliers. China and India already source their minerals and other goods from other countries. They aren't desperate for South Africa. South Africa loses its U.S. buyers, it won't just pivot, it will be forced to sell at a loss to compete in already saturated markets. And let's not forget, Trump isn't just targeting South Africa. He's putting pressure on BRICS as a whole, making it even harder for South Africa to rely on its so-called allies. Many assume that if the U.S. turns its back, countries in BRICS will step in to save the day. But will they? Russia is locked in the Ukraine war and is closer to sealing a deal with the U.S. Why would Putin risk angering Washington for South Africa? India is actively strengthening ties with Trump. Modi just met with him, promoting stronger U.S.-India cooperation. China, one of South Africa's largest trade partner, is currently facing substantial economic challenges due to internal issues like the failing property market and new tariffs imposed by the U.S. government. Consequently, it is unable to shoulder the financial burden for South Africa. The cold, hard reality? The U.S. has strong leverage on all BRICS countries, and South Africa doesn't have many moves at the present moment. This is not about politics, it's about survival. For too long, South Africans have framed global relationships in political terms. Who is a friend and who is an enemy? But the world doesn't work that way. This is about leverage, not loyalty. Every country, including those in BRICS, are rightfully loyal to their end means, not politics. This is not to say South Africans should not push back against the obvious bullying of the U.S., but solutions should emanate from strategy and tactics, not political ideology. And here's where the Trump administration might have ironically afforded South Africans a rethink in what exactly they want. The U.S. cutting foreign aid and imposing trade restrictions should be a wake-up call. South Africa must demand real action from its partners, not just empty rhetoric. If BRICS nations truly support South Africa, now is the time for them to prove it. At the same time, South Africa must ask itself, what does it actually gain from its global stance? If it's just being used as a pawn in a bigger geopolitical chess game, what's the reward? The hard truth: there are no friends in global politics. South Africa's next move will define its future. This is not about choosing between the U.S. or BRICS. It's about securing real economic power in a world where there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. The real question is, who truly needs South Africa the most? If the country wants to maintain influence, power, and stability, it must stop thinking in ideological terms and start playing to win. Because in the end, This isn't about diplomacy, it's about survival. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe.